Let's take a look at the next drill in our butterfly series. At this point, your athletes really should be able to put a lot of the individual drills that we've been working on together and performing kind of the whole stroke together. So this is just going to be a not necessarily a new drill, but it's going to be a butterfly drill here with or butterfly swim, sorry, here with fins. The fins here will just make things a little bit easier so that our athletes don't have to really kind of think about the moving too hard with the legs. So the fins here will assist us with our kick and making everything a little bit better. So let's take a look at the key items, starting out here with the kick. Here we want to see the legs pointing, and the feet pointing, which we have because we are wearing the fins. Now, what we would want to look for is what we would kind of call is just like a natural bend in the knee. And that we got here right away when we're seeing that setup of that kick. We don't want our legs to be too stiff because otherwise it's going to be just really, really difficult to move the feet up and down when we're moving through the water. So we want to have that flexion in the knee so that way when we kick down here, what we are really going to feel like is like we're going to be propelling ourselves to really, really, really go forward. Now, it is important to have some knee bend. If you have too much, then that's going to also be equally as bad. So, kind of what do we mean by that is if the knees here would be approaching about 90 degrees, they would just be kind of kicking up and down just like this. And we're not going to really be able to really feel the connection then between the legs here and then the hips when we're performing the kick. And same thing, if we're too deep here under the body, where we're going to be going, it just is going to be like our knees are going to be sputtering. So having this important natural bend in the knees, just like we see here, is going to really help with just when those feet are going to go then boom down like they are right there. Now, as with butterfly, remember we have this inverse relationship between the shoulders and the chest area and the feet and then the hips. When the shoulders and the feet are up, then the hips are down. When we back up a little bit here, then we're going to see here the hips are going to be up, the feet and the shoulders and the chest area then are going to be down as we're performing that and that opposite movement again always exists, and those are something that we're going to look for. So here what we see is our athlete is going to be breaking streamline, breaking out of that first stroke. We're going to see the hands here coming out of the hip area, and for that's where we would recommend for guys to come out. Ladies could come out anywhere kind of in between right over here and then also where the suit is going to be cut on the hip. So here that range, we're right within there. Both arms here are going to go nice and long across the water. Now we want you to take special notice right here of how the palms are facing behind us and also how low they are to the surface of the water. That's a really important thing to be able to maintain when we're doing the drill. And then as the hands come across the body forming a T, what we're going to take notice is the hands then are going to rotate downward to kind of relax the hand right there. Both arms are doing that. And then we're going to want to make contact with the water here right in front of both shoulders. And then really focus on just driving ourselves to go forward. There will be a press of the chest, but the press isn't going to be necessarily as deep as what we may think about. We want to remember fly is a flatter stroke, up and forward, up and forward. Those are the key elements that we really want to emphasize with our athlete. When we're doing the stroke, also what we look for is going to be the shoulders. Then on that landing, we're going to see the hips here come up. Perfect. And then we want to finish with the kick. Perfect. We see all three items as we move through the water. That's awesome. Then what we're going to look at is going to be taking the breath. So on this next stroke cycle, our athlete's going to be taking a breath, and we're going to see that we're going to start lifting that head up as those hands are passing the shoulders. And we want to see that the head here is going to be very low to the surface. Eyes are going to be looking forward, a slight forward tilt to that chin. And then we're just going to be looking again for consistency in all those items. Beautiful job right here as we're swimming. Okay, next here what we're going to take a look at is just going to be the underwater view of the kick. Here we're going to take a look at and seeing that the toes are nice and pointed. And then we see that, again, that flexion of the knee. You kind of see that right there. And then what we want to see is those feet then coming down, driving downward, right there, perfect, as we are traveling through the water. This is really good movement here from our athlete. On our return view, we're just going to have a different perspective. So see here how the chin is elevated, the eyes are looking at a slight tilt, and then the arms here coming out at the hips. And then again, notice how here the palms are facing behind us. And then as we make that T, those hands then rotate then downward. But also look here how low those hands are to the surface of the water. We see that? That's perfect. Right really where we want those arms to be. Now here we see that the hands are coming in a little bit in front of our head. What we would like to see is the hands kind of coming in about right here. This is perfect. Both hands are in front of the shoulders. What we would want to see then is just drive the hands more forward. Otherwise, what we're going to have here is just then is a little bit of an out sweep on both arms. And we'll take a look a little bit at that next as we go under the water. The out sweep there, just all it's going to do is create a dead movement in the stroke. And all we want to really see is just the arms be able to get into the catch immediately to be able to set ourselves up here for success. Let's take a look at what we're seeing underwater. Okay, so here, so kind of see here how the hands are in front, and we're going to go with a downward slide, getting them into the catch. So we see that right there. However, our athlete here is able to do a really beautiful job. Check these out. Fingertips getting down. Now, because we have that little bit of that outward sweep, what we want to remember is having these power triangles established. This is something we look for in every single stroke. Here, the hands are going to be a little bit more outside. We'd love to see these hands be a little bit closer to being under the shoulders right here so that we formulate just a little bit of a stronger triangle. And then what we'll be able to do is really take that water and then throw it behind us here to be able to set up for a really, really great stroke then within that next stroke. Overall here, if you found some great value out of this, be sure to drop a like and subscribe.